Welcome to Wack Trash Recap, the movie recap podcast. I'm Zach Olson.
And I'm Steven Mitchell.
And we're your hosts. Thank you guys for joining us. We're talking about Toy Story 3 today. A fan favorite. Mm-hmm. It was Toy Story is a series that really has never disappointed, except for Toy Story 4.
And probably 5. How does Toy Story 3 start?
Toy Story 3 starts off with, your classic...
That almost sounded like the Jurassic Park theme.
Not quite. It's the classic Toy Story theme, and then it's like Toy Story, and then like a fire iron hits in, and it's a boom. It's a 3, and then a
chugga. Cause there's a train.
And then a boom explosion.
Yeah, and who was it? But it's me, Mr. Potato Head.
And it's me, his wife.
I don't know why I
and
went
we're stealing all the money.
and then who of course stops them, but none other than Woody, the sheriff himself.
And he's like, there's a snake in my boot. And he goes and he's like, and he stops them. And Bullseye's there. He's riding on Bullseye. Mm-hmm. Jesse shows up.
They're like, never mess with potatoes with ninja monkeys or whatever. And then not monkeys.
Ninja training.
That's right.
And then there's a boom, big explosion. And One-Eyed Bart, and Mr. Potato Head flee the scene. Mm-hmm. And the train is filled with orphans, which are trolls. Oh. And they're going to die over the edge of the train track because it's been exploded. And Woody and Jesse are like, I guess this is the end of the line.
Woody jumps onto the engine, and he pulls the brakes, and it's going, and then Jesse's like, no, but Woody! And then they go down, and then you see a little, and then up rises
blue light.
Buzz Lightyear. Glad I could catch the train.
Classic. And they go, and they chase down One-Eyed Bart, and they're like, good thing I brought my...
force field dog.
And then Slinky comes down.
And he bites his tail.
He's like, well, good thing we brought our force field eating dinosaur. And then boom, it's Rex. And he's like, wow, I'm going to get you guys.
And then a big shadow overcasts them. And who else is it but Evil Dr. Porkchop.
Oh, no.
And he teleports up the bandits, and then he drops a big nuke that says death by monkeys, and then they get held down, and the death ray's about to shoot them.
So it's not really death by monkeys, it's death by
held by monkeys.
Yeah. And then the home video comes in, and it's Andy playing with all the toys, and his mom is like, oh, Andy. And then Molly comes in, the baby sister, and she like grabs something, and Andy, being a good big brother that he is like, oh no, it's an evil giant baby, and like it's playing.
He's a good brother. He incorporates his sister in his play.
Yeah. It's very cute.
And so then you get a little montage through like the recording camera of
you got a friend in
of
me.
Andy's life playing with his toys and how he grows up with them, watches movies, all that stuff, and then eventually it goes black. Boop, 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 boop. And it's the toys. I don't know what
all
that
the
sound
toys.
was.
They're in the chest.
Yes.
And they've come up with a plan.
Yes.
It's been years since they've been played with. Mm-hmm. And so they steal Andy's cell phone, and they steal the home phone, and they call Andy's phone via the home phone. And then Andy's like, where's my phone? And he comes in, and he opens up the chest that they're all in.
And Rex is holding to it for his life. He's like, please.
And he grabs the phone. He's like, Molly, what are you doing in my room? And he leaves, and he shuts the chest. And then all the toys are sad.
They're like, well, that was it.
Did you see that? He touched me. And he held me.
And that's how you know it's time to go. And so they're going to get put in the attic.
Yeah.
Buzz and Woody on the same page. They're like, hey, let's prepare to go to the attic. The army men, that are like 3 that are left, they ditch. They jump out in their parachutes, and they're like, good luck. You're going to need it.
They're like, well, he told you they're the first one to go. That's the situation, is that they're preparing to go into the attic. Andy's about to go to college. And so Molly's going to take his room, and Andy's mom is like, you got to pack everything up and either send it in the attic or throw it in the trash. Mm-hmm. And so that's what Andy's doing. And he decides to put his toys into
a garbage bag. Yeah.
And a garbage bag. But he's about to go up into the attic. Woody's the one exception. Woody is in the college box, because they've been ride or die from day one. And as Andy is about to go into the attic, Molly drops some stuff because she's trying to hold things to balance it. And Andy picks up something that she dropped and is like, let me help you, and goes down. And then the ladder to the attic shuts for no reason.
No reason at all. It's just a weak spring, I guess. I don't know.
What kind of attic is on a timer?
But then that's when their mom walks through and she sees the trash bag there. And since it's a trash bag, she's like, well, I guess this is garbage that Andy was throwing out. So she's like, Andy. And then she picks it up and takes it to the curb. And Woody's like, no, that's not trash. And so then he jumps down like the drain and he goes over because like the trash truck is coming. And so he's got to get his friends out of the trash bag.
And then the toys, they're like trying to get out of the trash bag. And then they're like, what's the point? And then Bud Light is like, point. Rex, use your tail.
I don't want to use my tail. Oh.
Wrong movie.
Throw back to number 2.
So that's happening. Woody comes over and he has a pair of scissors and he's like opening all the bags and only garbage is coming out. And then he's like, where are they? And the garbage man comes and he throws all of the garbage in the truck and
And let me say, this garbage man is vibing. He has his headphones on. He's just
yeah, it's a good time.
yeah, he's jamming. So
what do you think all of his friends died?
yeah, and it's a very minimal reaction
Yeah,
to
I mean,
thinking
he's
all your
sad,
friends
but-
just got crushed.
But then
He's just like, oh, bummer.
a box and they
Underneath the box are feet.
yeah, and they go to the car where there is a box for Sunnyside Daycare, and the toys say, let's just go in here and be donated. And then that'll be better.
Yeah.
And Woody's like, no, guys, he was going to put you in the attic. I swear it was Andy's mom. You got to come back.
Then why'd he leave us on the curb?
He wasn't trying to. It was Andy's mom.
And
I'm telling you.
no reason that they shouldn't believe Woody. There's no advantage for him to say to tell them a lie.
Right. Like,
I don't know why they
like
didn't
Woody's
believe
entire
him.
personality is protecting his friend.
Yeah.
And so they think, what do you think
Just,
that?
I don't
they
know.
think
They were
Woody
like,
wants
you're
them to
stupid.
die?
You didn't see what was happening. I guess. I don't know. But anyway,
they
they
don't
get
believe Woody.
they get in the box, and Barbie, because Andy's sister had donated a couple of toys as well, and so Barbie's already in the box, and they're consoling her because she's like, I don't know what happened. We were so close, and then she just put me in a box.
Yeah.
And
like,
while that's happening, that's when the mom jumps in the car, shuts the door, and drives off to daycare. So,
and so she goes and she enters into daycare. You meet the daycare worker and her child, Bonnie, who's adorable. And they go into the room and she drops all the toys off. And Woody, there's all the other toys start coming up. And they're like, up it over and what's in the box,
yeah.
you know?
And that's when they all fall out.
And they're hesitant because they're like, we don't know how they're going to react to new toys.
Yeah.
And then they're all, new toys! Woo!
This is like
So
little
funny.
Jack in the Box springs up. New
Yeah.
toys. All right. So it's a very welcoming introduction to the daycare. Seems like everything's awesome. They meet a Ken doll who instantly falls in love with Barbie.
Yep.
They meet a big, lovable plush bear that smells like strawberry.
So bad.
Yep. And so
And
he
he's
gives
like, get ready, because you're going to get played with again by all these children. They just love new toys.
And so they're in, I think, the butterfly room, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken.
I
And
think
then,
so.
then they take them through a tour of the bathroom. When they go through the bathroom, they meet Big Baby. And then they end up in the caterpillar room where all the younger kids are going to be.
Yep.
And that's when all the toys leave. They're like, all right, have fun being played with. And Woody is like, you guys, what are we doing? Like, we still have to go back to Andy.
Andy needs us. And they're like, no, Andy wants you. But we're just going to stay here and have the time of our lives.
Yeah.
And Woody's like, whatever, major loser.
Woody runs off. He starts to escape.
Yeah, and this escape, there's a major, in my opinion, logic flaw. Because somebody opens up the door to the caterpillar room.
Oh, yeah.
And he holds the door open for a second. So
Yeah.
clearly,
Strong enough
Woody
to
is
hold the
strong,
door.
which brings me to another point that I'll make later, which is I don't understand the relative strength of toys in this movie. I'll talk about that in a later.
Yeah, well,
And so,
not all toys are built the same.
apparently, Woody gets out, and
Woody
he gets up
escapes.
onto the roof,
Yeah.
and he flies on a kite, and he's like, woohoo! And he gets stuck in a tree.
Yeah,
And
that's
he
when
loses his hat.
That's when Bonnie comes skipping along. And she finds Woody hanging in the tree. She's like, Sheriff, you're mine now. And so she takes Woody off to go to her house. And that's when we cut back to the other toys, and they're getting ready to be played with.
They're like, "Woo,
Buzz is like, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine, guys. Don't worry about him. And they're like, oh, all right, well, whatever. We're going to get played with. Kids are lining up, and Mr. Potato Head's like, oh, my goodness, like, there's so many out there. And then that's when Buzz looks around, and he notices that all the other toys that are in that room are, like, hiding under bookshelves. They're all, like, terrified and frightened.
shaking.
Yeah. And he's like,
what's
guys?
about to happen?
Yeah.
And he shuts his helmet just in the nick of time. All the kids go,
They-
they're monsters. And
they
this one
break
kid goes
in.
and like, licks.
Yeah,
Buzz's-
these children are
And
unsanitary.
they start like putting Mr. Potato's head eyes up their nose for some reason.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
like,
remember
there
doing
should
that
be an
as a
adult
kid.
supervising this. They go through absolute chaos. At the end of the day, they're all bruised and beaten, and parts are missing here and there.
Jesse's
Mr.
hair is covered in paint.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Buzz has slobber and stickers all over his visor thing. So it's just absolute chaos. And so they're like, all right, we can't have this. We can't go through this every day. So we need to go talk to Lotso, get us moved to rooms.
Because they see through the window the butterfly room, very tame.
Mm-hmm.
They,
It's the older kids, so they know how to treat toys. And so Buzz is like, I got this, guys. We're going to go. We're going to be fine. And so they can't reach the handle. And so Buzz and the whole team makes this really elaborate contraption, like timed out very, very well.
Yeah,
And
it's
Buzz
the-
like jumps on this
it's the whole
caterpillar
rework
and
machine,
it goes across the line, jumps off a broom up to the transom on the top of the door, and then he lets the rope down. And then that's when he looks back into the hallway and he sees two of the bigger, we'll call them muscly toys from the other room. And they're like, do you think they survived today?
They're like, nah, it ain't gonna last a week.
And so he's very confused. And then he looks over and he sees Ken, and Ken's like, all right, no, I'll go first. I
Love.
you.
Ooh.
Okay, now you start.
I.
Love
You.
You see that? It changes up every time.
They're gross.
Yeah,
And
it's
so-
disgusting. They've known each other for 2 hours.
Yeah. And so, but Buzz sees that then he sees these muscly toys and Ken, they go into the vending machine for some reason. And so he follows them into the vending machine and he climbs his way up to the very top, and they're having a poker game up there. And they're
With
discussing.
Monopoly money and batteries and what have you. Yeah, it's very
Yep.
fun.
And they're making fun of Ken for being
Being
a
a
girl's
girl.
toy. And he's like, I'm not a girl's toy. I'm a boy's toy. And I'm like, yeah, like.
And that's when Buzz turns around and there's Big Baby, and he throws him on the
But
table.
how on earth did Big Baby fit in the
Not
vending
a
machine?
clue.
No way he would
Not a
fit.
clue.
But they
Absolutely.
find out they discover Buzz there, and so they tie him up, and he's all chained up, and they're gonna interrogate him. And Lotso comes and he's like, well, now what's all this? Why is our guest tied up?
Well, we found him outside of his room.
Well, unhand our guest.
And so they untie him, and they're like, that's when Buzz is like, so thank you, sir. I respectfully request that you remove us to the butterfly room with you all.
And Lotso's like, well, of course you can move to the butterfly room with us, Buzz. And he's like, thank you. I'll go tell all my friends.
Oh, whoa. Somebody's got to be in that room for the kids to play with. We can't have all y'all coming on over here.
Well, I'm afraid it's either all of us or none of us.
Oh, family man, are you? Huh? Okay. Tie him back in the chair. And so they put him back in the chair. They tie him down. And
Bookworm, give us find his factories.
this little bookworm crawls out, and he's like, I found this under a light year. You're like,
Where else would it be?
well, where else would the
And
manual
it's the
be?
instruction manual to factory reset Buzz.
They switch him back to default, and that's when we flash back to Woody, where he's being played with by Bonnie and the kids, and they're having a great old time.
It's
right?
like the best playtime, but Woody has seen
in years. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Bonnie runs out eventually. She's like, I gotta go use the bathroom. So she runs out of the room. And Woody's like, hey, psst, guys, where am I?
Don't make me break character.
Oh, would you lighten up, Prickle Pants? Shh. guys, I don't know where I am.
So they meet these other toys. I don't remember hardly any of their names.
Prickle Pants, Trixie, and Buttercup is the unicorn.
Oh, yeah.
and then you have these 3 Ps that are like kids.
Yeah. And so they get played with, and by the time Bonnie's asleep or gone or whatever, Woody's like, I gotta go back to my owner, Andy. He's going away to college, and I gotta help him. They're like, why do you want to go there? College is not for toys.
Yeah,
Like,
you should stay
you
here
can't
with
tell
us.
me this was not the best time you ever had. And
Yeah.
he was like, it was pretty good, but I gotta find Andy. And
I gotta go back to Sunnyside and get my friends too. They're like, Sunnyside? You came from Sunnyside?
How did you get out?
And he's like, well, wasn't that? Wait, what do you mean get out?
but nobody ever escaped Sunnyside. That's Chuckles. He knows. And then you see this clown, and he's like, looking.
It's this little like short doll with these long wispy hairs.
And he's frowning like you've never seen in your life.
Basically, he goes back and does a little flashback moment and gives you the backstory on Lotso and Big Baby. So it was those three that used to be toys together with
Chuckles, Daisy, and Chuckles, Big Baby,
and
Lotso.
Lotso, yeah. Very wow. Look at that. Look at it. And their girl was Daisy, and so they had the best relationship. Lotso was given to her for like a Christmas present or something like that, and they had a really, really special relationship. So one day they go out, the family goes out for a picnic, and the girl falls asleep after lunch, and then the parents pick her up without picking up the toys. I don't know why.
Cute. Yeah, like
but
I don't.
we can just assume that, like, you know, it was one of those things where you just forget something behind, and so.
And in this scenario, it was 3 whole toys.
It was 3 whole toys, probably the most important things that she brought. But anyway, they get forgotten, and so then they go back eventually to the house, and that's when Big Baby boosts up Lotso and Chuckles, and they look in and they see that Lotso has been replaced.
And he's like, Daisy's replaced all of us.
No, we only replaced you.
No, he's replaced all of us, Big Baby. Don't you understand? We're gone.
She doesn't love you anymore. And so he's very, very bitter because he's got replaced. But Big Baby and Chuckles didn't. So technically, they could have still been wanted back. But
yeah, Lotso lied to Big Baby, tells Big Baby that she was replaced as well. And they all go find Sunnyside Daycare.
Yeah.
And Lotso, in his vengeful, spiteful self, decides to start taking over and basically turns it into like
a detention military camp.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like a terrible.
Lots of security.
Like a prison.
He took over Sunnyside, and so it's like
'cause
locked down over there.
Yeah, Chuck was like, I can't be a part of this no more.
Yeah.
And he goes home with Bonnie. And Woody's like, well, I got to get my friends out. And they're like, you can't go back there. You're going to die. And he's like, I got to try. And so go back to Sunnyside. And you, Buzz in his reset mode is like Toy Story 1, where he's like, I'm a space ranger, and I need to practice my duty. And part of his duty to put all of his friend toys in like prison, basically, with the plastic bins in a cubby.
Yeah.
And lock them up. They throw Mr. Potato Head
Because he's being very vocal.
He's got some sass.
Yeah, they throw him in the box, which is the sand pit outside in like the playground area. And he was like, it's so cold out there, and there's a couple of logs. And Ham's like, I don't think those were Lincoln logs. Woody breaks back in, and he makes his way into the caterpillar room, and he sees that his friends are being destroyed. You know, the little kids are absolute chaos. And so he's up on this like little balcony area, and then that's when he hears a little ring ring. And he looks behind him, and there's this phone toy. And so
they
he
met
runs
him
over.
at the beginning of the movie.
But he didn't talk to him at all. And so he runs over there, and he like gestures to pick up the phone. And Woody's like, "Hello?
What are you doing back here? You got out.
What do you mean? I'm here to save my friends."
You can't do that. Look, even if you somehow got out of this room, you got to deal with all of these. And basically, he said the only way out of here is through the garbage.
chute, yeah.
And the thing to particularly watch out for is the monkeys. These creepy monkeys got symbols for hands. He always watches the security monitors, and then he's like, and he hits the button, and then the toys get about to.
It's terrifying.
Or whatever.
I think I had a nightmare about him when I was a kid.
Yeah, who wouldn't? So that's what Shadow told him. He's like, there's no chance. And Woody's like, I gotta try.
Woody reaches out to his friends. He's like, "Hey guys, come here!" And they're all like, "Woody!" And they run back up to him. And Jesse's like, "Woody, I'm so sorry. I didn't believe you. It's my fault." And then Mr. Potato's head's like, "Yeah, she's right. It was her fault." And you're like, "All right, thanks a lot." And he that's when he's like, "All right, guys, here's the plan. We gotta escape through that garbage chute. Let's get everybody around together, and we'll go out tonight. Now, where's Buzz?" And they're like, "Well, there's a little bit of a complication with that one."
So the plan starts.
Yes.
First up, it is Slinky and Woody. And they actually do go through the ceiling panels and some other stuff, and they take out the monkey. They sneak up, and they're like, "Time is up, monkey." They don't say that.
And he's like,
And so they like bite, and then eventually
they tape him
Slinky-
up and throw him into a desk drawer.
And so the monkey's taken care of.
Mr. Potato Head escapes the cage, and he puts a real potato in place. I don't know how he got the real potato, but there it is. And so then he runs over. He's trying to get out the window, and that's when Buzz, Big Baby, and Ken see him, and then they go run and catch him. And he's like, "Nah, this guy hasn't learned his lesson yet. Take him to the box." And he's like, "No, not the box, please."
And then he gets thrown into the box, and he's like, and so Mr. Potato Head throws all of the rest of him out, minus the potato part. And so he goes and he attaches himself to a tortilla, which is some of the most impressive animating
And rigging I have ever seen.
It's crazy how they do it.
Don't know how they did it. I honestly don't.
And so Mr. Potato Head flapping around as a tortilla. I don't remember what his purpose is.
He's signaling like that everybody is asleep in the butterfly room so that they know that they can cross. So Ham and Rex start arguing. Ham is like, "Hey, I thought I told you to keep your hands off my stuff." And he's like holding his cork and he's like, "I'm going to get you, Porky." And that's when Buzz comes over and he's like, "Hey, knock it off from there." And so he pulls out, I think he pulls out Ham or something like that.
They take the bin out, and
Yeah,
then,
and then
that's when they tackle him and put him underneath the plastic box. So they need to get rid of Ken. And so they have Barbie. And
Right.
she's like, "I'm so sorry, Ken. I just want to live with you in your big mansion."
Darn it, Barbie, but you got to do what I say, okay?
Okay. And so then they go into Ken's dream house.
Yeah.
And into the wardrobe. And she's like, "Can you please do a fashion show for me?"
He's like, "I thought you'd never ask." And so he
like,
starts,
"Oh,
freak out! And he comes out in, different outfits and models them for her.
And he's
whatnot.
looking great.
Yeah.
And then one time he comes out and Barbie's not there. And he's like, "Barbie." And then she's like, "Hey, yeah." And she takes him out and
Jumps
ties
down
him up via one of those like little paddle boards.
The worst toy ever. Yeah.
I loved
hated
those
those
for
things.
30 seconds.
She gets the drop on Ken.
Barbie was figuring out what they did to Buzz and how they could undo it. But then she goes dressed as Ken in the astronaut suit.
That's
and
right.
it's like, "I need the instruction manual for Buzz."
And he's like, and the bookworm's like, "I don't know why this couldn't have waited till the morning, but here you go."
And then he sees Barbie walking out in heels, and he's like, "Ken."
Whatever.
So,
So they finally figure out how to fix Buzz.
Yeah.
And that's when they come back through the ceiling tiles.
Yeah.
With the manual, and Ham and Rex are like, guys, we're here. And they stand on like one side of the box so that Buzz is able to use their weight against him. And he pushes it up and he starts running towards the door. He's like, "They're going to come and get me," or whatever.
And then they tackle him, and they've got the instruction manual. They're like, "All right, here, you got to hold down this this special button, and then do a factory reset." And they use Rex's finger, and it's like,
And they're like,
chaos. And then
Be sure that you don't hold it for more than 3 seconds. It wasn't my fault.
Buzz?
And then he jumps up, like hits them all off, and he's like, "I don't get why you don't know. I don't speak Spanish." Anyway, he speaks
That
Spanish.
does not sound Spanish at all.
Basically, what happens is now Buzz is in Spanish mode, and they have no idea how to get him out of it.
Yeah.
But he's like, "We're all friends. Just come with us, El Buzzo. We'll show you where your spaceship is." And he's like, "Excelente!"
Yeah.
And so then they all run off. They run to the slide, and that's where they eventually meet Mr. Potato Head, right? To get
Yeah,
him back
who
in his
now is
body.
a teeny. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Flair, "Oh, you're so tall and handsome."
You will not believe what I have been through tonight. And that's when Buzz sees Jesse for the first time too, and he
"Oh,
is
muy bien."
the flower of the desert. You are my love, or whatever in Spanish,
but in
of course.
Spanish,
Yeah.
yes. And then it really makes you be like, "Yeah, I understand why we refer to Spanish as a love language." They're making their way to the garbage, and they're like there,
Yeah.
basically. And then
Woody and Bullseye and the 3 aliens are jumping. They're jumping over like this part of the playground where like the box for the swings are, and one of the aliens falls off, and that makes a big noise. And so Big Baby is sitting on the swing right there. So that's when Big Baby turns around and is like walking towards them. Boom, 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 boom. They get away. They're fine. And
the
that's
reason they
when,
were over there, by the way, to get Mr. Potato's body. Is what I just remembered.
that's it. There it is.
Not that relevant, but you get a little
I mean, there was
bit.
a reason that they split up. So anyway, they
they're
get
at
back to the shoot finally.
Yeah, so they're at the shoot, and they're about to the big old garbage bin, and
There's a really funny moment because Buzz like does this little dance around Jesse, and he's like telling her about his love in Spanish and all that stuff, and then Woody comes in and Jesse's like, "Woody, yeah, you're alive, you made it," and Buzz gets a little jealous. He's like, "El paqueo." So they go up to the chute and they're trying to open it. He's like, and Woody's like, Buzz, I can't reach it. Can you help me? And he pushes him back. He's like, and then he does this little up the broom thing and
like,
opens the chute. Yeah. Woody goes down the chute first, and at the end of it is like 2 big garbage cans. But
Yeah,
the first
one
one,
at the lid is
one
open.
is, yeah, the one closest to the chute is open. And so he's like, all right, come on down, but not all at once.
What did he say? I think he said, "Come down all at once."
And you're like, why? What would there be reason
No.
for that?
And they almost fall in, but they don't.
Yeah,
and
they're
like,
fine.
Thank goodness. And then lots of bears like, well, what do we have here?
And Big Baby and Ken and all the other big beefy toys show up.
Yep. And then the rubber octopus guy comes in behind them in the garbage chute and starts pushing them.
Yeah.
And he's like, now, why would you try to escape?
And that's when Woody's like, what about Daisy?
Well, she left us. She left all of us. You will eventually be unloved and unwanted, just like me.
She didn't
And you see
replace
a lot
all of you. She
insecurity coming out.
replaces you.
Yeah.
And that's when Big Baby's surprised because this whole time the baby was lied to, and so it's surprised, and that's when it turns on Lotso.
And she picks up
up
Lotso
Lotso.
and throws him into the garbage bin.
Moment
And
of
so all of the toys are like, woohoo! And they're crossing over the
lid.
lid.
Yeah.
And then the lid opens, which is
And
crazy.
closes.
like Lotso opened up and grabbed Woody's leg.
So why Woody goes back in the first place is because one of the aliens get their foot stuck in the thing.
Right. Alien gets stuck. Woody tries to save him. Lotso somehow managed to climb all the way up this garbage, grab
though
Woody's
there's no
leg, and
garbage
pull
in
him
there.
in. And
Yeah.
so then all the other toys, do they jump in with them
Yes.
to save him? Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll try to grab him.
They're trying to lift up the lid. The thing comes. It starts lifting it up, and they're
right.
like, "All right, let's do it." And then
So, but the ratchet toys, they get picked up by the garbage truck and thrown into it. And
Yeah.
so they're trying to figure out what's happening, and they get dumped. They get all the way taken to a dump station or whatever, junkyard.
like just junkyard.
And they get thrown onto a conveyor belt, and it's moving towards thing that's gonna crush up the trash,
Yep.
but to get burned. It starts picking up all the metal though, the magnets.
Probably for recycling. I don't know.
Yeah, like Slinky goes up first.
Yeah.
And they see
Lots
Woody's
of-
like, we gotta grab onto something metal, and everybody grabs onto like a fork or whatever.
Yeah.
Poor Vex used to grabbing things that are like aluminum and not magnetic.
Yeah.
But he eventually gets there, and then they see Lotso stuck, and Lotso's like, "Help, Woody! Come on, Sheriff!"
And so then Woody jumps down. He starts using like this golf club to hoist him up, and he can't do it by himself. And then here comes Buzz. So Buzz is back to normal by this point. That's the whole point.
Also, importantly, when they first get dumped into the junkyard or whatever, the 3 aliens see
The claw in the distance,
claw
like
of
an excavator or
an
something.
excavator, yeah. And so they're like the claw, and they start running after it, and then they get like bulldozed by a truck. They're like, oh.
So they're gone. Yeah.
So they're not in the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Here.
And yeah, so they save Lotso.
Yep.
And they're on the top of the conveyor belt, and then like
They should have just continued to hold on to
Yeah,
the metal.
they should have stayed
but
up
I
there.
guess they're getting tired because their strength is
Also,
running out.
Slinky falls down off the metal detector somehow. I don't know. But so they all drop down into the pile where everything has been shredded up, and like it's still on the conveyor belt, so it's still going.
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh yay, we're all saved and we're fine." But then they look up like way ahead of them, which technically they wouldn't have been able to see what it was, but whatever.
Well, they see it's like a light, and then they see that it's fire, like
And it's this like big burn pit.
yeah. And they see the button to turn off the escalator,
The
conveyor belt.
Conveyor, there you go.
Is somewhere up high, and they're trying to get to it, and Lots was like, "Sheriff, help me!"
And so they boost them up there.
And then he's like, "Screw you." There's no logic to this. He just hates these toys. He's
Yeah,
a hateful
well,
person.
yeah, I guess
and
so.
doesn't hit the button, and he leaves. And so they're trying to get their way out, but they cannot. They fall into this burn pit, and they're moving towards the center, and fires everywhere. And they're fighting their way up. They're trying to climb up, but I forget who's the first one who's kind of like, well,
I think it might have been Jesse looking at Buzz.
Yeah.
Because they were both like the rate at which they're sliding down into the fire is faster than what they can climb. And so they're just like,
Yeah.
well, that's like, this is it. And it's like the most sad moment of
Yeah,
the entire
so
movie,
all-
of the entire franchise, because they're just like, they're about to die.
yeah.
This
So
is the end of
Buzz
them.
and Jesse hold hands, and Bullseye is like having like a panic attack, and Jesse's calms him down.
Yeah.
They're holding hands, and everybody
Rex
comes hold
and
hands.
Ham
And
start
Woody's
holding
in the
hands,
middle
yeah.
holding hands with everybody, and everybody kind of like leaned into somebody except for
To, like,
Woody.
their
Poor
partner.
Woody is
Yeah.
like by himself. They're about to die, and then the claw.
Turns out the little aliens found a vacant control room.
And so then they go and they lift up. They're very good at the claw game, apparently,
Yes,
and lift
they
up all the toys, and they're all safe. They somehow didn't melt at all. They definitely should have.
Absolutely. I mean, before they even dropped in, but that's whatever. So they're all safe now, and they get like dropped in this little depot area. And then Slinky's like, "Where's that fluff ball? I want to tear him apart." Lotso.
And you see Lotso, he's walking away, and then he, plays dead or
plays
whatever.
animal. Yeah.
Because
a garbage truck pulls up.
And he's like, "Oh my goodness, it still smells like strawberries."
I had one of these when I was a kid. And so the garbage man ties him to the front of the garbage truck, which I've actually seen this before. Not big toys like that, but like little things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he gets tied to the front of the garbage truck with a couple other toys, and they
Don't
drive
open
off.
your mouth.
It's a frog has like flies all over him.
Yeah. And so the toys make their way back to Andy's place. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how.
Because that's why I mentioned this. They're like, how in the world are we gonna get back to Andy's place in time? It's like half a county away at this point. And then that's when they hear bam, 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 bam. And that's because that's the garbage man that goes by their house. And
Right.
so Woody's like, I know what to do. So they jump on his garbage truck, and that takes them back to Andy's house.
Yep. And so they all get into a box or a chest or whatever, and
They all climb into the box because Andy and his mom and his sister are like saying goodbye because Andy's about to take off for college, and he's like saying goodbye to Buster, their dog. And so that gives Woody some time to say goodbye to all the other toys, and it's
he's
very
going
it's
to college.
very bittersweet.
Yeah, and Woody writes a note on a sticky tab and says, and he puts it on the box that the toys that are supposed to go in the attic or whatever. And then Andy goes, "Mom, you really think I should donate these?" And Mom doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
She's like, "Do whatever you want." And Andy's kind of like, all right. And so he gets in his car to go to college, and he makes a pit stop, and he goes to Bonnie's house. And the families know each other, so it's not weird.
Yeah, a 17-year-old can show up. That's okay.
Yeah. And the mom is like, "Oh, Andy's like, y'all on your way to college, or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to drop off these toys." And he sits down with Bonnie, and it's very cute. And he's like, "Now
she's
this
very
is
shy.
Mr. and Mr. Potato Head," and they're madly in love with each other.
Don't
And this
separate
is
'em.
Yeah, and this is the evil Dr. Pork Chop, and
He also holds her money.
yeah,
He
and
he gave her a free quarter.
yeah, so kind. And he introduces everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just adorable.
Yeah.
And then
they're all piled like up with her, like it's like a little family photo. And then after like all the toys are given out, he's like, "All right, now you have to take care of these guys because they're pretty special to me." And then she goes up to the box that he's been taking them out of. She's like, "Oh, my sheriff!" And he's like, "What? What are you doing in that box?" "There's a snake in my boot."
yeah, and Bonnie is about to grab him, and Andy kind of instinctively like pulls Woody back, and he's like, "Now this guy is really important, and like he's the wildest, tootinest sheriff in town, and he's always gonna have your back and be there for you." And he gives Woody to Bonnie.
Dude,
And-
I almost took my favorite toy to college because of that scene right there.
Yeah, honestly. But that's not the point of the movie. Andy then spends next, 30 minutes or whatever, and it plays with Bonnie, and it's adorable.
It's so cute.
And he's eventually gets in his car to leave. All the toys are on the porch. Bonnie gets called inside, and Woody looks at the camera like, "So long, partner."
And that's the end of the movie. And the last point I want to make is that you pan up and you see these clouds. It's like the classic Pixar cloud. And it's just like repeated all over the place. And you're like, even
Like
the
the
professionals
wallpaper.
reuse textures.
Well, that was a choice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then you get some great post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
Lotso's still tied up, right? I think that might be one of them.
Lasso's still tied up. They put on a performance. Mr. Prickle Pants is obviously the leading star.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, Romeo, we're up, down Romeo."
And then that's when Buttercup's like, "Next year I want to do cats, or might I suggest Hamlet?" There's a scene where the peas are inside Mr. Potato Head's butt, and they start poking out all his limbs and everything.
He's like, I told you kids not to play inside of me. And then they get a letter from somebody at Sunnyside Daycare, and it's like, things are going great. Like, Ken and Bobby have revamped everything and made it like
It's
paradise.
a dream place now.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's like, wow, Bobby's handwriting is so nice. And then you see it's Ken's at the end.
With big hearts and
Yeah.
sparkly, and you're like, yeah, okay. And then that is when the best end credit scene happens, because Jesse hits a button on a stereo, and it starts playing this Spanish music, and Buzz is over there looking at some plane, and his hips just start moving and instinctively, and he's like, what's happening? And it's the Spanish version of "You Got a Friend in Me," which I personally want.
I did not.
Here's what I want. Here's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
want. When
Tell
I
me
get
what you
married
want.
someday,
Yeah.
I have no requests other than this, that for our first dance, we do our first dance or whatever. It's like some sort of little sweet thing or whatever.
That she wants.
Yeah, that she wants. And then what we do is we do like a choreographed dance to "You Got a Friend of Me" Spanish version after
Yeah,
that.
and it's
And,
like
like,
you're
it's
like walking
tearaway
away, and suddenly
clothes
you're like,
and-
what's happening?
Yeah, exactly.
She puts on a cowboy hat.
That'd be great. But anyway, so that's the official end of the movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It is a classic and
Beautiful.
the perfect ending to the Toy Story series, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
the only ending.
The only ending. Which I will say, what I love about the series though is that each movie had like, you can build on each movie, but each movie is a complete story in and of its own.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to add something to it, you can. Toy Story 4, in my opinion, did not ruin the series for me. Like, it was a fine film by itself. It did not add to or subtract from the
I've
narrative.
only seen it one time, so really I don't have a strong opinion.
Okay, all right.
I like to have a strong opinion on it, though.
I know you do. I know.
What are some takeaways?
Yeah, so let's see. Some takeaways. Cherish the things that you love, because someday they're going to go away. And you don't know, all the time that you're going to have them, like your toys.
Wow, I wasn't ready for that.
No, so
I
cherish.
thought you were going to tell a joke. Now
They
I'm
can't all be
crying.
jokes. So life is not all jokes.
That's true.
But yeah, cherish.
That was a 2-for-1 special, right?
Ben will throw in a low ding ding. But yeah, cherish the things that matter to you, because you don't know how long you're gonna have them.
Good.
What's your takeaway?
I was thinking that if there's something that you want to keep, maybe don't put it in a garbage bag.
Yeah, that's a good.
Like-
That's a good point.
I put it in a cardboard box that said "Don't throw away," or almost anywhere other than a garbage bag.
Something that somebody would assume that is needed to be thrown away. And the third point. Let's see. What would be a good third point? I had another one. That popped up in my mind while we were walking through this whole thing, but I can't remember what it was.
And maybe I can spark some reminders here.
Okay.
To infinity and beyond. Hey, senorita, there's a snake in my boot.
Oh, that's what it was. Learn a second language.
Yeah, especially maybe Spanish. if you
Maybe
wanna-
Spanish if you actually want to run a podcast someday.
Wow. Yeah.
we have to go back and record this episode in Spanish now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ay. No. ¿Dónde la biblioteca?
Yeah, sure. But so thank you guys for joining us. If you guys have any movie recommendations for us, please hit us up at wackandtrash@gmail.com. We'll take a look at your recommendations and see what we can do. But we just love to hear from you guys if you want to reach out to us.
Yeah, please do. Now, let's close us out with the To Infinity and Beyond, but in the voice of Elmer Fudd, please.
To infinity and beyond.